Hey everyone, and really excellent question about patterns and potential for change. Hi Claire, I have a question for your podcast. The personal development world is filled with ideas, concepts, tools, and techniques on how to change your life, how to overcome money blocks, how to lose weight, find love, be successful in business, be visible and popular, etc., etc. I see within personal development that there's a mix of focusing on personal agency and also focusing on an unknown force, sometimes called universal laws. I remember experiencing tremendous freedom when the realization that the self I had thought of as me was a creation, made up, and that there were infinite possibilities and a limitless nature of being to experience. So why, after years and years, do the same patterns continue to play out? What truly can change them? Or are some patterns meant to be our life experience in the same way someone born with no legs isn't going to grow legs in this lifetime? Are some things set in stone, or are all energetic patterns possible to change? What would you say is the secret to changing seemingly set in stone patterns, such as never having more than just enough money or always being in intimate relationships that don't work? Isn't that a brilliant question? It's like the $1 million question, this one, isn't it? Where does change really come from? What really are patterns? Why when we have realization after realization about spirituality, about reality, about truth, about what we are, and why when lots of other parts of our life maybe are opening up, starting to get much easier, more happier, more fluid, more real, why are there some areas still that just keep going on, no change? And are these areas, a good analogy, are these areas just like someone born with no legs? Is that just how it is? So someone born with no legs is not going to grow legs, as far as we know, and we'll come on to that. And is that the same? Am I destined always to not ever have more than just enough money? Am I destined to always be in one intimate relationship after another that isn't functional, isn't happy, isn't fulfilling? It's such a good question. Now, it seems to me the key to this question is how intimate with reality, with the world of form, is it possible to be? Because when the mind is free, and by free I mean when it's not identified as circulating around this me that I believe myself to be, when it's not involved in protection and defense of that idea, when it's not in a dance of projection and re-traumatization, when the mind is free, which means when the mind has settled back into the truth of it, which is observation, presence, consciousness, awareness, aliveness, open space of holding everything that happens. And at the same time, when there's the sanity of absolute deepest knowing that however the world is appearing is an external manifestation of the program running within the body mind. So all judgment, everything that looks risky, scary, everything that looks separate from the me, a them and a me, him, her, me, when there's that deep knowing that all of that is there for the healing of us, like the anything that's resisted, any moment of suffering, when it looks like there's separation, that suffering is indicating, it looks like there's separation going on here. It looks like there's an objective reality out there and an objective self here, and there's not. There's not. So that's sane accountability now. So we're not using spirituality as a way to avoid even looking at the sort of external manifestation of our inner wounds, which is so easy to avoid doing through this conversation. But we're seeing the truth of this conversation in that it takes us deep in to see what's being revealed here, what is happening in this pattern, what's happening in this fear, in this shame, in this resistance, in this resentment, what's going on. So we've got a mind settled into spaciousness, a deeper orientation towards healing, which involves the recognition that the external is the projection of the internal. And then we've got equally a mind freed up to learn, to explore and find out about the form. And by form, we mean the apparent reality of things and that have a solidity to them, you know, tables and chairs and computers and pounds and pence and dollars and the body and other people. What we can learn now. So we've got those three things. We've got spaciousness, we've got inbuilt accountability, which is an inbuilt healing practice, and then we've got learning. And that's sanity. That is a mind set free, a mind body set free, not in a bypass way, in an engagement way that is ultimate health. And it seems to me that when that's the case, no pattern of need, fear, shame, insecurity can endure. Because when we're sane, everything is orientated towards healing, presence, and learning, exploration, really understanding what's going on. And none of it is going round and round this futile, helpless, hopeless, impossible to achieve attempt to secure the identity, to secure me, to secure the experience, to secure the emotions, to secure to make sure that no one rejects me, no one embarrasses me, no one criticizes me or turns me down. We don't have that anymore because the mind is sane. But when we have a recurring pattern in our life, when there is recurring constriction, limitation, obstacles, difficulty, sort of hopelessness and helplessness, it's because the mind isn't sane 100% of the time. Because even someone with no legs, if we took that as an example, someone with no legs their life could be the protection of the identity that I am someone with no legs. And everything, all actions, the mind would be engaged in the attempt to protect that belief structure. That's what I am. And all the related elements to that of all the blocks and the obstacles and what people think and the projection into the future and the projection back into the past. And so the entirety of that state would revolve around and be looked through the lens of this is me, this is what I am. So we can see that, we could see how that could happen with someone with no legs. We could see how that happens with me, with money, me with relationships, me with my job, me with bosses, me with parents. Like, it's my identity and I'm defending it. And because it's my identity, there's no presence, there's projection that's believed, there's no healing, there's no truth, there's no reality, there's no learning. Bam, that's what I am. But when someone with no legs is sane, and particularly I see this in my sister, born with cystic fibrosis, as sane a mind as we could ever imagine. She's my teacher in everything, really. Someone born with no legs, born with cystic fibrosis, whatever it is, who is sane, so whose mind is the space in which is the awareness, is the presence in which everything arises, who sees the struggle, sees the identification happening, sees projection happening, sees suffering happening, goes into that to really see what's going on, to allow the healing, to allow the whole system to come back into truth, and who learns now. The mind is free to learn. And when that human potential, that human intellectual capacity goes to the very edge of learning about form, that's the place where science discovers how to grow new legs, isn't it? How to cure cystic fibrosis, how to earn where the person can earn £1 billion, where the person can have the best relationships ever, because now we're really learning about the world and about other people, about the body, about possibility. That's where it happens, on that edge. And that edge is inaccessible when the mind is, and the body and the whole, and all the resources are revolving around an identity. Yeah. So for those of us who are in patterns of barely having enough money, of repeated cycle of bad relationships, of bullying at work, of falling out with friends, of being left out, of not pushing ourselves creatively, these patterns, they're not destiny. they're not fate. Nothing is destiny or fate, including being born with no legs. Nothing is. It is infinite potential through a mind that becomes sane, and through a deepening of focus on what is going on what is real. Because through that focus, what's not real falls away, and what's there to play with, to experiment with, to explore deeper, to find out more about, is there. So it becomes entirely about the space in which it's all happening, the healing of the body mind, and a brilliant human mind that is now finally, for the first time in a long time perhaps, engaged with the reality of this. There we go. Yeah, and we're going to look at this a lot in March, when we've got our Be the Change course, which is about changing other people. So all those patterns around how other people are, how they relate to us, what they're doing, that we want something better for them, about how they treat us, all of that we're going to look at. So in the membership, yeah, see you there hopefully. Bye, lovely. Thank you, great question.